Just ran off. See if he buries it. Who cares? So this is Uncle Martin on, excuse me, the day before Halloween. Excuse me. So that'd be October 30th, 2025. I usually don't say the last part because, like 20, 30 years from now, uh, maybe I'll be a centurion. I think I may be, by God's grace. So what we have here is a touchy topic. I wasn't going to go there on this touchy topic, but it's a story. It's a story, a true story. Excuse me, that I did because I felt I had to. When there's a lot of darkness, there's darkness that's coming around you. What do? Especially when it's on your whole street. You have a street of darkness. Cars are being stolen. People are getting stabbed. Well, it doesn't really concern you, really, does it? Until they probably come in your yard and attempt such things. So that is the topic that I was going to bring up. These birds are jumping around a lot. It's sundown. I just fed my birds. They eat well here. So does my feral cats. I don't know if you can see this. See how it works. See all these guys? They're all munching down. These are hungry little ring-necked doves. Ring-necked doves. I don't know if you can see it in the sunlight. They usually hang up around up there. You can see there's quite a few of them. Just kind of show you my birds. Okay, this is like 1990. So we're in 2025. So dyslexia, what is it? I got 90, 100. It's like 40 some years ago. But I was forced into this situation, and that's what the thumbnail is going to be. Concealed. Concealed weapons. Who has this? Oh, there's quite a few states. Quite a few states have concealed weapons. Actually, there's about 30 states. 30 states have concealed weapons now. Hey, what's the chances of that? I wonder why that is. Well, because you know why? There's a lesser crime rate when people are able to have a weapon. Well, we're all supposedly able to have a weapon. Whether you get bullets or not is another story. But just to have the right to have a concealed weapon makes things a little easier if you're going to be dealing with thievery, muggings, killings, stabbings, stealing your vehicle. Yeah, people jumping over your fence, breaking in your house, kicking in your door, grabbing you out of your car and trying to, drive off. All these states don't seem to have this problem with, since they have a concealed carry. And real fast, as fast as I can, as of March 7th, 2024, these states are able to have a concealed carry. That's Alabama, or Alaska, Arizona, where I'm from, Arizona, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Ohio, Kansas. All these places have concealed carry they're able to do. Okay, Ohio, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Mississippi, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, South Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina. I didn't see anything on North Carolina. That's rather rare. Did somebody tell me if North Carolina has a concealed carry? I couldn't find anything on those guys. I've been to North Carolina. Tennessee also. And then you got Texas. Of course, Texas. Utah, Vermont, Utah. I got Utah twice. Only one time they should be there. Vermont and Wyoming. So that's about 29, 30 states. Okay, so what do I got here? somebody talking to me. Sorry, missed you there. Hey, at Bula T1 T16. Hello. Hey, from cold Russia. Well, welcome. I've got a few lovers that love me from Russia. And actually, I'm going to go to Russia sometime because Russia's been given a bad rap ever since I was like in the 60s, the Cold War. The Russians are bad people. No, they're not bad people. Russians are very nice people. As a matter of fact, everybody that's gone over to Russia that I know of has always had a fantastic time. Now, blue jeans, they might be overpriced. I don't know about it right now, though. So, this is on concealed. Well, I'm going to have the thumbnail on concealed carry, but this is a story, a true story. Uncle Martin, I was there. I did it. I had to. It's not like I'm a vigilante or anything. It's just like when the darkness comes over your street. What are you going to do? Are you going to go run and hide, put your head in a pillow? Are you going to go hide in a closet? What are you going to do when darkness comes your way? Well, you're going to stand up to it or not, all right? So and that's what I was forced. I was forced into it just by me being who I am. Hey, at Miss Happyish. Hey, how you doing? I want to go to Russia. I am learning Russian. I want to learn Russian also. In fact, I've got a lot of people that, like me from Russia. They give me comments and stuff. The Dachau, is it the Dachau where you go on a vacation? You like live in the city, but then you go out in the country. That's a fantastic thing. I don't know how Chernobyl's doing over there. Excuse me, but that was a very negative situation. Not as bad as, at least you guys covered it up with cement. Fukushima, they didn't cover nothing up. It's still going down. Well, actually, excuse me, Chernobyl's still going down to the center of the earth because the rods are melting, but that's another story. And Fukushima, they haven't done anything over there that they should do, especially when it's all the radiation going out into the Pacific. I've already gone into that on recall of radioactive shrimp. That's when Walmart was selling it, my store was selling it, but supposedly they're not. But every time somebody goes by my cashier, and they go, "Oh, we want some more shrimp," I said, "Oh man, yeah, it's okay. It's over there." I can't tell them not to get it. Shrimp, white-legged shrimp, are radioactive. Right at Pacific. I can't go there anymore. I think that's even more negative than the right to carry. Okay. We got Marie Downey, 4,000. Remember me? I remember you, Marie. Welcome back. So everybody who's watching me, give me a thumbs up or down. I don't care. I am concerned. And if you're coming in late, well, go back to the beginning with all the states that we have the right to carry concealed weapons without a permit. That's very important. Now, there's a lot of, the reason I'm bringing this up is not only, well, there's a lot of states that don't allow you this privilege, and their crime rate is skyrocketing, where those people that have the right to protect themselves and have the right to carry concealed, these problems aren't really happening. That's maybe it's just a coincidence. Hard to say. So what I'm saying is now, 1990. That's what we're getting back to. I was dealing with a dark cloud that was coming down our street. There was people getting stabbed. There was people getting their cars stolen. There was just for instance, on my south side of my house that my dad bought back in '69. All right. One more. He gets one more. 69. To the north side, we had bikers. A lot of them were from like the Hells Angels, but they're really pretty nice people, except well, a couple of them. But there was a bear, big guy, really bearded fella, and Squirrel, his girlfriend. We got along great. Had no problems. Except maybe 2, 3, 4 in the morning when they took their motorcycles down the street and they all were coming and going all the time. It kind of kept you up. But this is back in 1969. Now we're talking about 1990. The, well, let's just say this. I'm getting a few things here. Stellar Hebu, I'm from Russia. Stella Hebla. All right. Hey, Stella Hebla. Hello. Miss Happyish. I remember you. Hello. Maria Downey. Yes, I remember you. Maria Downey 4000. Maria Downey, am I excited for Halloween? I am more than excited. I'm going to dress up as Clint Eastwood tomorrow. I can dress up whatever at our work anyway. When I get home, I'm going to do an excellent video on well, this one particular black magician. And you got to hear this one because black magicians are negative. And they, well, I should say, maybe they don't know they were negative. This particular one was called Milarepa, however you want to mention it. And he, in one lifetime, which is very rare, from a very dark soul, he was he became a saint. So that's what tomorrow is going to be, if anybody's interested. It'll be under the title of evil arts, maybe not black magician. How about something, the occult? It'll be under occult. So getting back to my story, in 1990, I had to shoot somebody in the foot. Not that I wanted to, but this is the story, how it goes. Up and down our street, stolen cars, people getting stabbed, and the police came and they said there's nothing they could do. They said they're like little cockroaches. Once we're here, they're gone. There's nothing we could do. And that is what I'm saying about concealed carry. That is the importance of having concealed carry. You are being able to protect yourself. By the time you call a policeman or somebody for help, it's already all gone. You could be a statistic. And do you want to be a statistic? Of course not. But some people say, no, the right to carry is very negative. Well, maybe that's your opinion, and this is America. God bless you for it. But it's always easier to have a concealed carry than to try finding one when you don't have one. That's always been the situation. Oh, that's a pen. You can't have that. You can have this. I love this dog. He's my rescue. So in 1990, this is what happened. On my street, on the south side of my residence, there was cars being brought in and stripped down. I was going to work. I come back 8-10 hours later. I remember it very well. There was a 1965 Vet, vintage year. Apparently, I thought maybe somebody just dropped it off. It was stripped down to just the rail. And then there was a Mercedes. And then there was a dozen more cars that were just within 8 to 10 hours stripped down to just the rail. I didn't know that just a block down the road there was a chop shop when they were disassembling the cars that were stolen, that this is what was going on. But it happened for like years. I wasn't involved in it. Nobody's dealing with me on it. I don't care about that. I just don't come in my yard and try that here. So what happened was one particular night, and this is just before I shot the guy in the foot. Bear with me. It was like 2 in the morning, and there was a car that had been parked there, but it didn't get chopped down yet. And I came in late because I think I might have stopped off for maybe yeah, one or two brews or something. So it was 2 in the morning, 2:30ish, and then all of a sudden I hear a lot of action going on the other side of my wall. So I look over and I see this guy. Uh, dri- it's an acre and a half, so he drives all the way out to the street, whips around, and goes forward again, head on into this car, like 3 times. Bish, and then he goes around and does it, and he comes back in. Bish, and there's a girl in the car screaming, "No, don't do it anymore!" And he goes again out to, and I'm watching all this, and he goes out to the street, and he turns around, and he goes, and when the third time he hits the car, both cars go up like this, so they're both looking like this. At that point, she gets out of the driver's side and is running down the street. And both cars are running, still running after this. And now he runs out after her, and she's screaming, "He's trying to kill me. He's got a knife. He's trying to kill me." So I thought, maybe it's time to call the police. So I get on 911. They want to know who I am. I'm Uncle Martin. I live here, and then they're trying to talk to you, and all. I just said, "Get over here," and the lady's saying, "Well, is is everybody okay in the car?" I said, "No, they're running down the street. She's screaming somebody's going to kill her with a knife." And she says, "Well, are the cars still? You said the cars are still running." I said, "Yeah," but she says, "Well, you're not supposed to do this, but you want to take a look over there?" I said, "No, I don't want to go over my wall and take a look. Somebody get over here." So by the time they got there, it was like a half hour later. They turned off the cars. That's what they did. And the next day in the paper, it shows up and says there was a couple, a female running down the street screaming, "He's going to kill me. He's got a knife." And what happened was she was stabbed. She was stabbed numerous times, but she lived. That's the positive side. But we don't know why they were doing this, right? Okay. One more. Can't have a pen. Can have. That's my boy. So yeah, I'm just saying, it's escalated for me. It's escalated me. I said I shot the guy in the foot. Now, why would I do that? That's a very good question. My mom didn't talk to me. My mom did not talk to me for a year. My dad had to talk to me because I was living with him, making sure he was okay. My brother, who was here with his 3 small children, he didn't talk to me for a year, and it was very ugly because of what I did. And this is what I did. I had it with all the negativity, the darkness on our street, and I said, "This has got to stop. It's got to stop. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I wasn't thinking that way, but it happened one day. I'm up on top of my roof. I'm fixing the cooler. The cooler went out, so I'm fixing the electrical cooler. And as I'm doing this, it's like in July. So all I had was my shorts on. It was like blue corduroy shorts. I'm talking 45 years ago. Corduroy was in. Maybe it's coming back out. So as I'm doing this, I see these 2 Mexican kids go by, and one has a bike with a 12 pack, and the other guy says, and he has these pliers in his hand. He says, "All I have to do is get that battery, and we're going to party all night long." That's all I heard. And I'm thinking, the battery? What battery is he talking about? So it was my further next door neighbors that had a bunch of cars. So when I saw him over there under a hood, he lifted up a hood, and I knew there was something very negative going on here. So I jumped off the roof. It was only a story, and I got in there. I got into my house, and I said, "Dad, call 911. Someone's stealing a car." So that's, and then I went and I have a holster. Dow gave me a holster. It's for my 357 handgun. So I put my holster on. I put my gun in my holster, and I said, "Dad," and he's saying, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going back on the roof. Call 911. Someone is stealing a car. This is the end of the line." He says, "Okay." So so I get back out. I'm back on the roof. Now, by the way, my dog is a he's a Saint Bernard Lab mix. He was the one. If you ever go back on my lives that I did here on the live part, it's he gave his life. This is the dog that gave his life. Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, check that one out. Okay. The guy's coming. While the guy is coming back, Dad comes out of the back door and says, 911 wants to know why. And that's when the guy with the bike with the 12 pack puts his head up over the wall and is looking at me. I'm looking at him. I'm saying, Dad, because this guy and that other guy are stealing a car. He says, oh, okay. So he goes back in and he's talking to 911. That was a funny guy, man. I just said, I guess when I said call 911, I didn't tell him why. So I guess that would be a good question on 911. Why are you calling us? So now this guy with a bike and the 12 pack in the back of his bicycle. Okay, by this time, when the guy, he drops his head down. The other guy's coming back with the battery on top of his shoulder. So he didn't steal the car, but he stole a battery. All right. So I jumped off the roof, and I'm running across our wall really low so they can't see me. And I'm listening to every word they're saying. And the guy with the bicycle with the 12 pack on his bike says, hey, there's a guy that called 911. The police are coming. And the guy with the battery on his shoulder says, who is this guy? I'm not afraid of him. I steal cars for a living. I'm listening to this as it go by. I'm very low on the wall. But when they get about halfway down my property, I jump over the wall. I'm straddling the wall. All I got is I'm barefoot. I got blue corduroy pants, shorts, with my 357. I'm holding it at him saying, this is a citizen's arrest. Stop where you're going. Now, I didn't go over my wall. I'm still on my property. And my dog now jumps over the wall. So with one hand, I have my 357. My other hand, I'm grabbing the back of Scout while he's gnashing his teeth at these people. So it's kind of a good combination, actually. I could let the dog go, or I could just keep this gun pointing at this guy. Okay? So this guy says, he's trying to tempt me with, he says, oh, we got this whole bag of, well, they call it now, medicine. It was called weed back then. He says, this guy looks like he would like to have some of this stuff. Here, give it to him. And I said, no, I said, no, it's okay, buddy boy. You're going to stay there until the police come. They're coming now. So it was like, God almighty, it must have been like 12 minutes by the time the cops got there. I'm talking to this guy for eight minutes. I'm talking to him like he's walking back and forth. He's got this battery in his shoulder. He gets really close to me. He says, I'm going to get this battery. I'm going to shove it in your face. I said, hey, buddy boy, I got the 357 pointing at you. And you know what? I suggest you don't do that. So he walked all the way out to the street. Now, I got neighbors, by the way. Neighbors out there. All these old washwomen ladies. And they're all watching the whole thing. He walks all the way out there. I said, hey, partner, get on back here. And he came all the way back with the battery still on his shoulder. This is a remarkable story. I know it sounds crazy. He could have kept on walking because I can't shoot. You can't do anything to anybody unless your life is in jeopardy. Your life is in harm. That's the only time you can shoot anybody, by law. So this guy comes back. Now he's walking back and pacing back and forth. He's really pissed off. He says, I could shove this battery in your face. I said, yeah, but I could take out your kneecap, man. Why would you want to do that? So what he does is he actually says that He doesn't care. And he's coming over to me to throw the battery at me. And so okay, this is the way I felt about it. Truthfully, by God's law, I did not want to shoot him in the foot. I never did. I wanted to warn him. The 357, once that goes up. By the way, it was 357's Magnums. They can take a 38 or a 357 bullet. Now, understanding this, I shot before his foot to stop him. And no, I'm sorry. It was the first load was 357, and it didn't go off. The next one was a 38. See, this is where the angels come in, kids. Whether you know it or not, I've shot this gun thousands of times. It never misfired. Never misfired. I have a 357 and a 38 after that. 357 misfires. Then the next bullet that went off, it hit just before his foot, but it ricocheted into his foot. And he's jumping up and down on his foot and screaming, "I can't believe you shot me in the foot." I said, "Well, I told you about it, And he gingerly walks over to me, puts the battery on the wall, and starts jumping up and down, saying, "I can't believe you shot me in the foot." And at that moment, the last time he said that, a police car shows up. It's a female cop. She comes out and says, "What's going on?" I said, "Hey, this is my gun," and I put it on the wall. I said, "Hey, this is what's going on." She says, "Well, let's see. What are you talking about? I want a description on what's going on." I said, "Oh no, lady. Oh no. You don't get any description like that. I want the investigation to go this way. You take this guy with the bike and the beer. You take this guy that I shot in the foot, ricocheted, and you take me, and we'll give you the story separately. 3 different stories. Make sure this is very important, anybody out there, okay? All right, so she holds off. She takes my gun. And another cop shows up. There's like 12 cop cars. And then finally, it was like 24 cop cars showing up. And it came down to, thank God I said, we're not talking until you get 3 of our stories. Because the guy with the bike, with the 12-pack, he said exactly what I said. The other guy totally lied. But the ladies that I said were out in the street, they said that I just shot the guy. So I'm just saying, I would have been up a creek with these washwomen people off the street watching from a distance saying that I was shooting somebody in the foot with no with no reason. That's what I'm saying. So there's bystanders that see things, even the news media. They give you little clips here and there. And how much of it is truthful and how much is just little bitty clips and you don't see the whole story. And that's what I was dealing with here. The guy with the bike, the 12-pack, that was his partner, these gang members that were partners, there was conflicting stories, but the story that went with me was the guy telling the truth on the bike with the 12-pack. How rare that is, huh? Hey, YTGG, official gaming 99. Can you still get TEC 9 pistols in America? You know what? I believe you can. But when we had the Democrats, you couldn't even buy a 22. Yeah. Why is that? You can have a gun, but it doesn't say you have to have bullets. That's why you want to maybe collect your ammunition. You never know who's going to be elected next time. So, yeah, it's always good to be prepared. So, getting on with the story of all the policemen, all the police officers, the situation went to where the guy, I didn't shoot him it ricocheted. See, that first shot would have been 357, would have wiped his foot out. So that's where the angels came in. The 38 skimmed into his foot and did a little less damage. It wasn't I had a hollow point 357. the guy would have probably lost his foot, and then probably I would have been sued. That's why that'll be another time. But if you're gonna pull your revolver, it's only to you don't have to have down the road you have your house and your livelihood taken from you. Thieves, murderers, stabbers, they're going to get what they're going to get. And I had well, a lot of relatives in the blues. They said two in the heart, one in the head, two in the head, one in the heart. There's no dealing with down the road you getting a lawyer that says you were wrong, protecting yourself, staying alive. And there's people out there like that. It's very unfortunate. That's why even the police officers will tell you that. So I finally get the captain coming over, and he says, "Son, I just got to know what really happened here. I know you told it 52 times or more. What did he do when you shot him in the foot?" I said, "Well, I didn't shoot him in the foot. It ricocheted in his face." I said, "Well, what did he do?" I said, "Well, he gingerly came over to me, put the battery that he had on his shoulder on top of the wall. He was going to shove in my face. He jumped up and down and said, 'I can't believe you shot me in the foot.'" And they thought that was pretty humorous. I guess because of the consciousness of someone that would. Anyway, the guy that was going to do that, he had a gun in his back pocket. So after he put the battery up on the wall that I was at, he could have in the back of his pocket taken me out. So I did the right thing. I didn't realize it at the time. That's what I'm saying. The angels come in at different stages and tell you to do things, or they say, "Hey, you know what? You're going to protect yourself here. You're in fear for your life. You got to do something." So, hey, that guy Kyle. Hey, Uncle Martin. Hope you're in good health. I am, by God's grace, and just living a good life. I'm talking about concealed weapons. And I went through that earlier, all the states that do it. The states that don't do it, they have the highest crime rate of those that are able to have that protection for them and their family. I know it's a touchy topic. I'll go into that some other time. I'm just telling you a true story. Me. So these guys are gang members that are now. That's what I'm saying. Before he did all this stuff of he was pacing back and forth, and he says, "I know where you live, and we're in a gang where we know where you live." And I said, "You know what? I don't care if you know where I live." I lied. I said, "You know where I live. I've lived here since 1969, but I know where you live," and that's what got him. He did just live down the street. I didn't know he lived down the street. I was just guessing. So that's when he went over to. Well, actually, he was going to shove that battery in my face, and that's when he got the bullet in his foot. But then he gingerly put it on the wall. So the cops thought, I don't know why they thought it was funny, but it seems to be. And by the way, the next day in the paper, they said, mosquitoes are coming out again. They said, nothing to worry about here. One of the officers dislodged their weapon, and it went off. So that's what they told everybody, to where I was out of the heat of, hey, this was Uncle Martin that shot this guy in the side of the foot. So the guy is in the cop car. Now the main guy with the big muscles, says, "Can I use your phone?" I said, "No, I don't really want you to use my phone." He says, "But I got to call down. Yeah." I said, "No, you can't use, I don't want you using my phone." And he says, "Oh, but," I said, "Okay, you can use my phone if you keep it low key and you don't tell my dad what's going on." My dad wanted to know everything. I said, "You can, but keep it on the down low." He says, "No problem." So he goes in there, he's on the phone with his superior, and he's saying, because that's what the guy said to me. He says he's going to have a drive-by on my family. The gang member says he's going to have a drive-by on my family. So I'm thinking, well, I got to mention that to the police officer, which he said, "Oh, a drive-by. I got to use your phone." And I said, "Well, you can't do that in my house because my dad's very excitable, and my mom is too. And he says, no, keep it on down low. So I go in there and I'm following him, and he says, he's on the phone. He's saying, yeah, there's this gang members, there's some gang members, and they're gonna have a drive-by on this family, and I'm I'm giving him back his 357. It's the only weapon he has to protect himself. Now, my dad's flipping out, my mom's flipping out, my brother hears about it, my brother has his kids here living, and now I'm the bad guy because I stopped a lot of negativity, okay? So, what it comes down to is my parents hated me for a year. My brother hated me. His kids hated me for doing, I thought, the right thing, and I still believe it was because there was a little dark cloud on our street that no longer exists after 45 years. All right? And after 30 years, there were still people talking about some crazy guy that lives over here that shoots people if you go in his property. Oh, it's just the way it was, you know. So, so this is the kind of the crux of the situation. He, the cop says, "Follow me out here." So now the guy is the one kid that got shot in the foot is still in the car. Well, they wrapped his foot up and everything, so it stopped bleeding. But he was gonna. I said, shouldn't he go to the hospital? He says, yeah, he's gonna go to the hospital, and then he's going to jail. But then he put his big arms on top of the window that was rolled down, and he told both of the guys that were in there. He says, "I know you guys. I know you very well. I know you from this street. I've dealt with you before." See, he dealt with them before. And then he said, "If by any chance that this family ever comes to any harm by you and yours, me and mine will come for you." Yeah, kind of like put them back a little bit to think about maybe they want to leave us alone, which did happen, by the way. God bless that police officer. He had some savvy understanding, but he did a stupid thing by telling out loud my parents what was going on with the drive-by and all that hysteria that went on for me over a year. Now, the positive point is, about after a year and a half, there was a guy, it was down the street. I think I got the mosquito. He got me quite good. The guy down the street had his car stolen prior to this, and he heard what happened. He heard it was from me. So a year and a half later, he comes in with a gallon baggie. You want another goodie? Hold on, buddy. You know, the gallon freezer bags. He had it filled with 357 and 38 bullets, and he gave it to my dad. And I was going off to work, and I didn't have time to listen to what was going on. He says, "Can I go in to see your dad?" Yeah, go on and go see my dad. So he's in there, he's talking to my dad. So when I come back from work, my dad says, "Son, I'm very proud of you." I said, "Dad, what are you proud about?" He says, "What you did that day a year and a half ago." I said, "Dad, you're proud of me?" And he says, "Yes. The guy that was here was a crosswalk guard at the school, and he had his car stolen before this happened. He got his car back, but it wasn't the same. And what he found out was that I was involved in stopping this this dark cloud upon our street, and he thought, since he knew that I shot, see, it was through the grassroots that knew about 357s and 38s and the gun and everything. So he said, I don't know what she likes best. So I just bought a baggie full and Dad gives me this bag full of bullets. And Dad is the one who said to me, while he is alive, there's 3 things that I will never have while he's alive. And that is a motorcycle, which I got. And you can't have a motorcycle, gun, Obviously, he has the bullets. And the third thing was a tattoo. Well, I got a bike, motorcycle, 750, and obviously a gun, but I never did get the tattoo. So, one, 1 out of 3, 2 out of 3. I don't know. Dyslexia. At least there was one that I listened to. I never got a tattoo. Okay, what do we got here? Josh Shimo 240. Good evening, Uncle. Puerto Rico is tuning in. Well, God bless you, Puerto Rico. This is on concealed weapons. You don't have to go back to the beginning right now. Wait 12 hours. That way I get credit. Something about when I shut this thing down, it takes 12 hours for them to get everything going, and then I get counted for it. I could have hundreds of people watching me, even thumbs up or down. I kind of get that, but not until I get really credit, until Arizona time, after 6 a.m. Please do that, would you please? Hey, the BX-P. XP, how you doing? This is on thumbnail on concealed weapons. I highly recommend you watch it because it's about when I shot a guy in the foot. Actually, it skimmed into his foot and how it was dealt with by the police. It's when we stand up for what we feel is truly correct. My mother hated me for a year and a half. My dad hated me. Actually, they both didn't really talk to me for a year and a half. And my brother, he definitely hated me because he had three young kids, 3 young boys. And when somebody says they're going to do a drive-by on you, yeah, that keeps you on the edge. But when the police officer said, if you do anything to this family, me and my own will take care of the situation. I know where you guys live. See, he dealt with them on many levels, but he could never get them. So maybe, I think these guys were these police officers were very happy to see me do what I did. Because every time they were called, nobody could ever get anything. And again, I'm not like a vigilante or anything, but it just, at a certain point, there's negativity that comes your way. And are you going to go run and hide, or are you going to stop and do something about it? Anybody going back to the beginning, you'll see what I'm talking about. It just comes down to discernment. You don't want to jump out there and do any of this stuff. It's just at what point are you going to stop negativity coming into your well, in my case, it was the neighborhood. Now, see, nobody jumped over my fence and nobody did anything like that, but I had to step forward to where, because all the cars that were being ripped off, doing shop chopped, and that girl and guy running down the street, she was getting stabbed, and I couldn't put up with it anymore. It just maybe it's just me. So I don't know, everybody has their own level on doing things. Mom always said, why did you do that? Why don't you let the police take care of it? Because you know what? Statistically, as I said, concealed carry, that stops the police from coming in because you're able to protect yourself. By the time the police come in, you could be a statistic. And everybody that has bodyguards and everything, they're going to say, hey, you don't need a gun. You don't need anything. I'm just saying, the Second Amendment says we have the right to protect ourselves. When we are in fear of our life, there's a time that we say, that's the way it goes, buddy boy. Why would you want to be ripping me out of my car? Why would you be kicking in my door? And by the way, I went all over all the states that you could have concealed carry. Well, technically everybody can have a gun, but then there's whether or not you go to jail or not. There's people in Florida that get their house kicked in, and they get the intruder gets shot, and then the guy that owns the house loses it to the guy who was kicking it in. This is topsy-turvy. That's why gotta be careful. Hey, Joe, SMO 240, Arizona laws are the easiest in the nation. Arizona laws, I believe they are. They're even better than Texas. That's why I love Arizona. I love Arizona. But I'm gonna check out all the other countries too, by the way, somewhere down the line. And anybody that's been lasting this long, God bless you. 45 minutes in, the sun's gone. I got to go feed my cats. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. I don't care, but I am concerned. And if you join Uncle Martin and subscribe to me, and you have a channel, I will subscribe to you. That's because it's the law of the West here in Arizona. And if you don't have a channel, still subscribe. That way, you know what? You'll be able to get me when I'm doing live. It's pretty simple. Okay. Okay, what do we got? I got one more guy before I go. Hey, Joe, Joe's Schmo 240. Florida just got the open carry. Yeah, I if you go back, I go into all of that, all the states. There's like 30 of them now that have open carry. Well, open carry, concealed carry. And these are the states that are not hijacked by thugs that think they can get away with anything they want. By the way, if you think about it, the laws are, the rights we have with laws seem to be this, that thieves and thugs will never follow the law, but it's law-abiding citizens that get stuck following the law, and they're a statistic. It's time for that to stop. That's why we have the Second Amendment. No matter what's going on in all the schools, negative, restaurants, negative. When you have the right to carry concealed, you can stop these things happening in schools and in restaurants. All right? It's when you don't have that right to conceal that you're sitting back, unless you're a knife thrower or you got, some ninja techniques, you're up a creek. Come on, think about it. So that's all I wanted to say about that, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Again, thumbs up, thumbs down. Join me. I'll join you. Tomorrow's going to be fantastic. It'll be on the Black Arts. The Black Arts will be for tomorrow at 5 p.m. The Black Arts. Now, the Black Arts are, something I'll talk about. Until then, be well. God victory. Hey, share this with somebody that you feel might be appropriate to do. Until then, God victory. Be well.